how are you? Hold on one second. Are you good? You know, lately I feel like I've been having a bit of a hard time staying creative and productive in these unusual times. I don't know, like so many of you, I've been spending a lot of my time cooking and cleaning and running after my kid and watching the news and finding it hard to just kind of get out of my head. But then I thought, you know what, I should write a list of tips to help me become more productive and more creative right now. Some of these things I am currently doing, some of these things I Okay, first thing that I like to do in the morning is to break off. Currently, I usually take a walk around just to get some fresh air. I remember in the past when we were living in an apartment and it wasn't like the greatest area to walk. So what I often did then, if the weather was okay, was to put my desk outside on the balcony overlooking the parking lot. But the idea was just to gain a different perspective and just a change of environment. Next thing is to write down all of your ideas that you have or a to-do list, but ideally do it in a way that's a little bit different. Like use your favorite pen or maybe the typewriter. This is all about focusing your mind in a different way, whereas like writing on your phone is kind of mindless. So it's just like taking that different step. Flexibility. Now don't get stuck with the project because you don't have this specific material on hand. Woodworking, I mean, this can obviously be like, okay, you don't have like a big sheet of plywood. Well, maybe you have another old project and you can repurpose, you know, that material and build something new. I've done that with shelving and tables and all sorts of things. And most recently, making these masks, and I'm using pipe cleaner around the nose. A lot of people wrote that they're using like bobby pins and hairpins instead. So it's all about kind of finding alternate materials and techniques that work with what you have on hand, so you don't have to go out to get stuff. Interleaving. Okay, this is the concept where you take a break from whatever it is that you're doing and read and study something completely different. The key is different. You shouldn't read like your favorite novel series that where you know all the characters and it's like relaxing. This is more like a cold shower for your brain to kind of wake it up by maybe studying some like a new language or some mathematics or astronomy or something like that. I've been meaning to start this code book about breaking codes, and I'm thinking that's really what I should use right now for my interleaving. Just like a fresh perspective and look at things. Noise cancelling headphones. Okay, so if you are in a situation where there are other people around and you're having a hard time focusing because the kids are loud or whatever, you know, put some noise cancelling headphones on so you can't hear them. And that way it's a little bit easier to focus and be in your own world. Limiting the amount of things on your list. So I think that it can be a bit discouraging, and I fall into this hole all the time where I write a really long to-do list every day of the things that I want to accomplish, and in the end I only check like 2 or 3 things because that's all I was able to get to. And it kind of just leaves you a little bit discouraged and frustrated. So right now, especially in these rather different times, I think it's a good idea to actually limit the amount of things that you really hope to accomplish that day. So maybe the night before you write down like, here are the 3 things that I'm gonna do tomorrow. And it can also include vacuum the house and work on my bench and I don't know, take a walk outside. It could be like simpler things too, but then you can accomplish those things and feel good about that and not feel discouraged because here are all these things that I wanted to do but I didn't get to. Allow yourself the luxury of time right now to get completely absorbed into something. I remember thinking in the past, like, oh, if I didn't have anything else to do, this would be the time to start working on that novel or that chess set where I want to carve each individual piece. You know, something where you really just want time to dive into something and not get disturbed by anything. Well, this is the perfect time to really get productive and really hunker down and do whatever it is that you want to do. Doesn't really work if you have a 2-year-old. But if you don't, this could be like a very relaxing time creatively. Look at yourself from the future. So if you're feeling kind of like you have a hard time prioritizing, focusing, you don't really know where your life is going next, I have this happen to me many times. One little mind trick you can do is to look at yourself from the future. You're an older person and you think about, what should I have done differently? What didn't I prioritize right? And if you can put yourself in yourself's shoes you know, as an older person, it can give you a different perspective on what you should really focus on, what's worthwhile, help you kind of make decisions moving forward. Oh, go through your computer and look through all your old files and videos and photos, and chances are you might find a lot of good ideas and stuff that you kind of thought of in the past but that you didn't continue working on. I was just doing this the other day, and first of all, you know, you go down that rabbit hole, you get really stuck watching things and remembering things, but I also found a bunch of like sketches and ideas and things that was kind of thinking about, that Matt was kind of thinking about, and like realizing, you know what, that was a really good idea and I really want to do that now. So kind of fun. Plus it's a good time to kind of get your files in order anyway and do some cleaning and some sorting. Now, if having your kids around is preventing you from using your power tools in a way that you normally would, then instead of getting really frustrated about that, try to look at it as an opportunity to do something different. You know, maybe like try some hand tools or spoon carving, or if you have like access to a sewing machine, you know, you can try some sewing, which is really fun and makes you think about things in a different way. In a similar way, like leather work also works well. And I've been kind of feeling like that lately, like I can't take August into the shop using power tools, but when I can do with him, it's like being here and use the sewing machine or do some basic stuff. But you know, using the table saw with him around isn't the best idea. But then you just kind of have to turn that around and think about what can I do instead. Structured learning. So if you're like me and you keep thinking that, oh, you know, I should really learn to do this better. I should really up my editing game. I want to learn Photoshop better. There are these different techniques that I want to get better at, but then you end up not doing it because of time or whatever. Like one way to kind of force yourself in that direction is take like an online class or get together with some other people and kind of do it together. Like social pressure is a good idea. In a similar way, I've been reading like War and Peace because there's this hashtag Tolstoy Together thing going on Twitter where there's like this virtual book club, and I'm not keeping up with the book quite as much as I had hoped I would, but so much better than I would have without. That little outside pressure is really a good thing, I think, for some people, maybe more than others. Okay, change your perspective. So if you are one of these people who never build from a plan or never cook from a recipe, then try to really do it the other way around. So pick a plan that looks interesting, or pick a recipe that looks, you know, rather intimidating and long, and then really follow those instructions. And the thing that I like about that is that you're gonna end up with a result that's very different from what you normally would if you were like in control completely. The challenge there is to not alter anything, just like really follow the instructions and don't add or remove anything. And it's kind of interesting because it's gonna force your brain to do something different, and it's kind of nice. Make something for someone else. One of the best ways, I think, of getting out of your head and really focus is to stop thinking about yourself and make something for someone else. So let's say grandma is at home alone and you think, well, you know, maybe what would cheer her up is if I make a nice photo frame and print some pictures and send them to her. Or maybe, you know, make something for the neighbor's kids down the road that can entertain them while they're, you know, home. So just kind of take the focus off yourself and think about what other people in your life, even if they're not like directly near you, what they would appreciate. If you're feeling kind of isolated and maybe a little bit unmotivated to get going, is to pair up with a friend. Could even be someone from Instagram or someone you don't really know that well, but who has a similar interest. And then you can have like shop time together. So you can be on a Skype call or a Zoom call while both kind of working in the shop, or while, you know, at home in the kitchen cooking or painting or whatever it is that you do. And what I like about that is that you can you're both occupied with something. You can be chatting and talking a little bit, but it's not like we are in a conversation and we're like back and forth talking. It's a more relaxed way of kind of having, a get together, which is kind of nice. Which is really making me think that I should do a live stream soon, building something kind of similar, you know, bring more people into your life in that sense, all surrounding a subject. Start a new hobby. Maybe just try doing something completely different, like take up gardening or painting, or I don't know, learn a new instrument. Something that you just haven't done before, because then you'll have like a whole rabbit hole to go down and learn things, and when you learn one thing, that kind of leads to another thing, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now as well. Like connecting things in different ways is always a good idea. I started doing some gardening, mostly because of necessity and I want to make sure I have vegetables around. I started doing some painting, and it's just kind of fun getting into new and different things. Oh, fix things you've been meaning to fix. This is the best time to really do those things that you have been thinking about doing forever. Like for example, I have a leather bag hanging over there that I made a while back. Some of the stitching has gone loose, and you know, I've been meaning to fix that thing forever. And I really should. This is a good time to do it. Plus, if I bring my leather tools in here, you know, I haven't used them in a while, and then once you're warm doing that, you're like, oh, I wanted to do this and this and this too. So I think many times it's just about getting started with something, and that can be like fixing something old that has broken as well. Just kind of get you going. So those were some thoughts and ideas to kind of help a person get out of their head. Primarily me, but maybe they could help you as well. Also, let me know if you have any techniques, any ideas that you have been using that you find helpful in, you know, staying productive and creative right now. And thank you guys so much for watching. I want to thank my patrons so much for supporting the work that I do and that I want to do. It matters so much right now. I'll put a link in the description if you want to become a patron as well. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.